Some time ago in Photoshop User Magazine, I did a tutorial on making a photo like this one, kind of breakout of a smaller photo. Some people call it the border breakout effect, very popular in many challenge sites. So we're going to do that here. Start off by making a selection with the marquee tool, and this is going to be kind of like the photo size we're going to use. Now, actually I want to reposition it because the part up at the top, I want also, if I move it over, then you can see the board can kind of break out of it a little bit as well. So first thing we need to do is, once we've made this selection, we need to transform it to try and add some perspective. And you can decide how you're going to do this. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to hold down Command Option Shift, or on PC Control Alt Shift, click in the top corner, and then as I drag it gives me a little sense of perspective. Now if I continue to play around, I can rotate it, I can reposition. Basically, and this is the part you'll have to play with to try and get kind of the effect that you want. Once you've done that, then we can basically just duplicate that part. So you press Command or Control J, and that puts that up on its own layer. Now, ultimately we want parts of this to kind of jump out. So to save time, what I've done is made selections of this top area and the bottom part, so that you can see this is where the actual photo will be. That's the parts I need to just worry about, the parts that'll be over the edges. So to save time, I've made a selection already, so I'll press Command or Control and click on this to load this as a selection. Then I also have one for this part of the board. I'm going to hold down Command and Shift, or Control and Shift, and click to make that a selection. So now I've got those two selected. I press that Command or Control J shortcut again, and that's going to put those two pieces up on their own layer, which I will now drag to the top. And at this point, it doesn't look like much of anything because everything's all basically on top of another. So one of the things we can start to do is make things stand out a little bit. We're going to add layer styles. First of all, let's go and drop shadow. And we just want to pull this so it's just slightly, but it just helps make it stand out a little bit. And then more importantly, we're going to add a stroke. We're going to make it a fairly large stroke. We're going to change the position to inside and change the color to something like a pale kind of a yellow color. And you'll see why we do that in a moment. And of course, we're seeing a preview so we can make sure it looks the way we want. Alright, so now you can see the effect is basically see how the board and the young man are popping outside because of that layer information I copied on top. So that basically in a nutshell is the effect right there, but we're going to take it a little step further. One of the ways that you can try and make this effect look a little more interesting is add a new layer below and fill with white. And basically that's just going to make so we only see the snapshot and the person popping out of it. Let's just make our layers pile a little bigger. I could also use an adjustment layer, like hue saturation, for example, above the background layer, and really lighten it up a whole lot so we can still kind of see the original photograph, but just barely. So it's there, but barely visible at all. So that's another option. You could decide to go that direction. Now, to make it really stand out even more, we want to add a bit of a shadow. So I'm going to Command or Control click on our snapshot photo, make a new layer. Now I held down Command or Control but realized it was in the wrong place, so I just need to drag it up here where it should be. There we go. Now I also, as I was doing that, I didn't say it out loud, but I was pressing Option Delete or Alt Backspace to fill that with black. So now I'm going to use Free Transform once again, holding down the Command or Control key to kind of pull this down, try and give it some perspective. I can keep holding down Command or Control and click on this corner handle to make it look the way I want. Hit Enter, and then we're just going to do blur. We're going to blur this up to make it look a lot more shadowy. There we go, Gaussian blur. So I want to blur this a fair bit. So I say fair bit, but then I pull it to the left. Okay, let's try again. There we go. I want to blur it a fair bit. There, that's what we're talking about. And you can see now it looks very, very blurry. I can also lower the opacity down a little bit. And if you notice, as I do here, that the shadow's starting to appear a little bit underneath the photo, I can adjust that somewhat as well to try and play with it and get the results that I want. Now we could use that same shadow on the original. There's the one with the lightened background, or we can have it with the white background. You can see lots of different options, but a very cool way to adjust things just simply by having a photo that pops out of the background. Very simple to do, very cool. One of the cool things about a technique like that is you can adjust it any way you want, and you can even make yourself look like you're in an HP commercial if you really want. I'm Dave Cross. We'll see you next time.